Alright, so the video that you're about to watch is an excerpt from a live stream that I did on April 4th, 2026. And it's a recap of my experience at the Great Ohio Toy Show on March 28th, the week before. I hope you enjoy it. And it starts out with a lot of pictures of things that I just caught my eye, for one reason or another that, were in the show. And the rest of it is my haul at the towards the end of the video. You get to see my haul that I acquired, and enjoy. It's a great toy show. If you ever get a chance to go, you should go. Now, record is recording. All right, so yeah, this is going to be the post-mortem of the March 2026 Great Ohio Toy Show. And I've been going to it for a couple years now. It's a good time. If you like old vintage stuff, and like tickling that yesteryear itch, it's a good time. It is a very good time. And you see a lot of stuff that you never seen before. You either missed it while you were a kid and didn't know it happened, or it predates you. So anyway, let's get going. Oh, they had a raffle too. I didn't win, but I thought it was a pretty good. Every paid entry into the facility, you got 2 raffle tickets, and they had a room. They had a big barrel where if you put your tickets in the barrel, you had a chance to win $1,000 cash, which somebody won it. Good for them. And they also had a bunch of small buckets around that you could put your tickets in if you wanted to, and those buckets correlated with certain vintage toys that they had on display in that room. So, and I looked in the buckets and saw there were about like 20 tickets in each bucket, for various vintage toys. So so somebody won those. Good, good for them. I put both of my tickets in the $1,000 bucket. I didn't see any of the vintage toys they were offering, which I would have had a better chance at, but they just didn't have anything that interested me. So anyway, so let's get going here. And so this is one of the earliest things I saw, the Bruce Lee action figure here. And I saw it shortly after seeing this thing. This is a knockoff, basically a knockoff Chuck Norris. It's a horrible picture, I know. I took extra batteries from my camera, but I forgot to grab the actual camera when I went, so I was stuck using my crappy ass cell phone camera. But so I found the same toy on an eBay listing, so you can see what it looks like. Though this eBay listing, he does not have his gi on, the jacket. So anyway, that's what's going on with that. But they were trying. I have a feeling with they didn't have this particular toy line did not have the Chuck Norris license at the time, but I think they were trying to match up with this toy so that you could have your Coliseum fight. But with they did have the. I mean, I'm sure when this Bruce Lee figure came out, he was already dead. So it's probably easier to get the rights to do that. They just went to his estate, and his estate wants to make money. So anyway, I thought these were pretty cool. This fake Chuck Norris figure. It's like I could see some kids getting that and the Bruce Lee one and reenacting the Coliseum fight from Return of the Dragon. Anyway, and speaking of Chuck Norris, which last weekend, we went through about 5 episodes of the Chuck Norris cartoon show that I was able to get a hold of. Here is the complete line of the Chuck Norris Karate Commandos action figures. Pretty cool. They were pricey. I guess I'm thinking they went up quite a bit after Chuck died. And who remembers color forms? Oh yeah, we loved color forms back when we were kids. But I never remember seeing color forms. By the time you get to the the mid to late '80s, but apparently they went on for a while afterwards because this is like real Ghostbusters. I mean, that's like late '80s, early '90s, maybe. I don't know. And there it is, color forms. And here's an old GI Joe one. This is like probably circa 1970-ish. They've got the Adventure Team logo on there, so. And a color form set of Batman, probably to coincide with the Batman cartoons from the late 60s and the 70s. And Beetlejuice. That's another set that I wouldn't have thought existed. And Silverhawks. We watch some Silverhawks here on this here channel, don't we? Mr. Tizo, if you're in the area. Yeah, they have the Silverhawks color form set. Pretty cool. And they had Silverhawks Play-Doh set. Who'd have thunk it? And this was like sealed, still, everything 100%. Imagine how dried out and disgusting that Play-Doh is inside those canisters, inside that set. And I should have got a better picture of it. But over on the right, there's a Silverhawks paper plate set, I guess for like kids' birthday parties and stuff. And they had napkins and stuff too. I should have grabbed all that. Yeah, who'd have thought that kids wanted to have a Silverhawks birthday party? Anyway, or at least the licensing company was hoping that they would. Oh well. And check this sucker out. Man, this is one of those cases of like, man, they were so desperate for a Star Trek product that they would slap Star Trek on anything and freaking call it, a Star Trek toy. I mean, there were, a laser rifle. There was a laser rifle in the original show, but it didn't look anything like this. And it shoots those little disc things. Remember those little toy plastic pistols that look kind of like a Walther PPK and shot those little frisbee discs? That's what this thing shoots. It's basically an ambigorized version of that. They just slapped a stock on it and a foregrip and put a longer barrel and a little fake ass red dot scope thing on there. Damn, it's starting to sound cool, isn't it? Put this beautiful Star Trek packaging on there. And that would have been fun to have. I'll admit it. Speaking of toy guns, okay, this is nothing special. Although at the time I probably would have really dug it because it does sort of look like a Luger or a P-38. And it's a cap gun. It has those roll caps. Now notice it comes with not one, but two boxes of roll caps. And there's multiple rolls in those boxes. Probably like 4 rolls in each box or 3 rolls. I don't know, maybe 5. I don't know. Depends on how wide the tape strip of caps is. But that's quite a bit of caps. I mean, whether or not the gun would have held up long enough to fire all those caps is another question. But I don't know about you guys. I remember taking those roll caps and like spreading them out on the ground, and then like smacking them with hammers and rocks and stuff to get them to go off. Because after a while, you just wanted to hear things go bang. Anyway, so yeah. But the neat thing about this, it wasn't so much of this one, because there was 100 of them, literally. That was part of a store display of 100 of these things that somehow stayed all together. I don't know how long that guy's been trying to sell it like that, but he might be better off selling them individually. Alright, and yes, this is a GoBot, but it's not a GoBot robot toy. It's a GoBot cap rifle, the row gun. Yeah. I kind of don't know what to make of it. But yeah, GoBot's cap rifle. Who'd have thought that would be a thing? And speaking of toy guns, there's a cool one. They had these James Bond toy guns in there, and this one is a Walther P99, which at the time when that movie that it's advertising came out, you know, that was a new gun. And now that Walther has officially discontinued the P99 as of this past year. So there it is, the P99 Walther. And it was like 1-to-1 scale too. It was like the same size as a real one. So I thought that was pretty cool. And look, it's all black. There's no orange tip or anything, which is unusual since it's a 90s toy. It was by the 90s you started seeing the fake colors and shit on some of the toy guns, which I hated. And this was a pretty cool toy gun. It's made by Hubley. It's made of metal, and Hubley was renowned for high quality metal toys, toy guns, toy airplanes, toy cars, ships, things like that. As a kid, I had a set of airplanes that were made by Hubley. They were really cool, but this one's got cult licensing on it. That's pretty cool. And speaking of toys made of metal, this is an actual vintage erector set. The box itself is made of metal too, and it's not a cardboard box. But check this out. I don't know if you can make it out there. That index card. This is a complete. Everything here. 1936 erector set. Pretty freaking cool. 1936. Still 100% complete. And now we're getting into the robot land. The Omnibot by Tomy. I remember seeing the ads for that thing when I was a kid. I wasn't 100%. I can't remember exactly what it was supposed to do, but it was pretty cool. There were a lot of toy robot toys going along in the late 70s, early 80s, you know, of that nature. And check this out by Remco. I'm sure we all remember I Dream of Jeannie. I never knew this toy existed. Of course, you know, it wasn't in my ballpark, but some of the girls might remember this kind of thing. The I Dream of Jeannie bottle, and it folded open, and inside of it was like her little circle couch thing and some other furniture. And I don't know if it came with the doll or not, but yeah, that's the thing. And there it is. They had it out of the package so you can see it, and as you can see, it does not look anything even remotely like the bottle from the show. Oh well, they had to make it big enough to, you know, make it into a playset. There's another shot of the box and another robot toy. This one's older, the Ideal Robot Commando. That looks like it would have been pretty cool. It's got some kind of remote control thing there, and it throws stuff. And what we got here, okay, we're getting into the $6 Million Man. This was, I mean, growing up in the 70s, I can tell you the $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman. I mean, the Bionic stuff was huge. It was huge, very popular. And so were like sticker and tattoo sets. That shit was really popular. A lot of bubblegum cards that you used to get, you know, at the corner store or at the ice cream truck came, instead of sometimes without a sticker, they would come with a tattoo set. But yeah, see, these are supposed to be a little wiring and stuff, so you put that tattoo on your arm and it's supposed to make it look like you're, you know, the action figure or something. Pretty cool. And they had the same thing going on for Jamie Summers' Bionic Woman. And they had a Maskatron figure. I thought that was pretty cool to get to see that. especially out of the box. It was pricey. Very pricey. And this Steve Austin vehicle, I'd never seen or heard of this one, but that's pretty cool. Some kind of capsule toy. I do have a Steve Austin that I collected, but it's just a figure. And these kind of toys in the late 50s and the early 60s, these kind of toys were pretty popular because, like, what kid didn't want toys of nuclear weapons? I mean, come on. This is like missile firing cannon. They didn't say it specifically, but it's supposed to be like the old atomic Annie cannon, you know, the big nuclear shell firing cannon. It's like, you know, who doesn't want to simulate nuclear destruction while they're playing with their toys in their bedroom? And I love this old car. And I love the race cars that looked like that back in the late 60s and the mid 60s. It's pretty cool stuff. I can't remember the scale. I think it was a bit big for like a 3 3/4 scale, like your Star Wars figures, but it wasn't big enough to hold like a 6-inch, so it was somewhere in between. This is the kind of thing that a lot of times never even came with a driver figure or anything, but it just looks cool. And here we go, speaking of toy cars, this is from a toy line called STP. Some of you may remember them. You take that this cable thing, and it's got notches on it that feed into these gears that are inside the vehicle. You feed it through a hole in the top of the vehicle. You can make them out there. And you push that thing through, and then you pull it back out, and it got the engine going real fast and the wheel turning real fast underneath. And then you put it on the ground and let it go, and it went like a bat out of hell. It was a lot of fun. And this is one of those cases of, like, Star Wars turned out to be so popular, they wanted to get Star Wars branding on everything, so you ended up with a Star Wars van. Another toy company also had a Star Wars van that had that pretty much that same decor on the side, but it was a remote control vehicle. And then there's this thing, man. I'm not 100% sure what this R2-D2 is. It was big. It was almost full size. It was either a trash can or a clothes hamper. Maybe it's supposed to be some kind of toy box or something, but it was very clean. I don't think anybody ever used it as a trash can, so it was nice and clean. So I don't think it ever saw that kind of use. But yeah, it was cool. And then I took this picture very early in the show, and then a couple 3 hours later, I saw it sitting in the booth of another vendor that was like on the other side of the fairgrounds. So yeah, one of them bought it and took it over there. They could not resist. And oh my God. Some of you, if you have kids the right age, I should say, you might know what this is. It's the Wiggles. They had a musical variety show for kids that in the late 90s, early 2000s. They're out of Australia, but they became popular. They started showing them on TV stuff in the States. My kids liked them. That's how I was like, as soon as I saw them, like the jingles and the songs came through my head. You know, such great tunes as Cold Spaghetti and Fruit Salad. Yummy, yummy. Anyway, so if I put those back into your head, I'm not apologizing. I'm not sorry. If I had to have that in my head, you have to have it in your head. Yeah, and somebody bought these. I took this picture early in the show. later in the, as I did about 3 laps through the whole fairgrounds, during the course of the day, and when I went later, hours later, when I was, on my last lap through, these were gone. Somebody got these. Oh boy. And Elvira. Oh. Not really into cardboard stand-ups, but, if I were, this would be a candidate. Oh, yeah. And speaking of, I wish this were a better quality picture, but this is the Project Yankee Doodle Secret Rocket Test Center, aka Nuclear Weapon by Remco, because nothing says I played hardcore toys in the late 50s and early 60s like freaking toy nuclear weapons. Isn't it wonderful? And there's another thing some of you may know. There's a side collecting thing, like a side quest. I do collect some Fisher-Price Little People. And I just love the charm and the simplicity of the toys. Simple peg people, no arms, no legs. The heads don't even turn. But there's also an amazing amount of detail in the accessories and stuff. And some of them are, it's like the same people over and over again in every set in some cases. Like that dog is in like 20 different sets. But we love him anyway. Anyway, so yeah, the Fisher-Price Little People. And I don't know what this is. I didn't open it or look at it super closely. I don't know whether it's a model or a toy, car, or what. The Weirdos Huey's Hut Rod. Glows in the dark. Yeah, don't know, but the packaging art is fantastic. As is the packaging art for this NPC model Ford Bronco. I'm not sure when this is from. It's definitely an older toy, and it looks fantastic, doesn't it? And now check this baby out. I've never seen or heard of this one before. It's some kind of interactive toy with a laser thing. The two characters like shoot at each other. He-Man's supposed to wear this thing on the left, and one of the bad guys mans the laser cannon on the right. The beam blaster and artillery. Man. I have a feeling the box art is actually better than the toy. But yeah, it's $400. I was like, no. I'm not a He-Man collector anyway. And believe it or not, this is not an action figure, it's a model of General Aldo from Planet of the Apes. Fantastic packaging art. And this thing kicks ass here. Slot car, electric slot cars, a Batmobile, and a Riddler VW van. I'm not sure when this is from, but man, it looks cool. Back in the day when I was a kid and I had slot cars, I would have wanted this really bad. I would have wanted it so bad, just for the Batmobile car. Just so I could try to use it on other slot car sets too. And then, who remembers this? Pop-O-Matic Trouble. Of course we remember the Pop-O-Matic Trouble game. But this one has the Universal Monsters on it. They had another one that had, it was Harry Potter themed, and I was going to get it for my daughter because she likes that stuff. But I passed on it the first time around. And then when I came back around then a second time, it was gone. I was like, damn it. And speaking of great packaging art, check out the paintings on this game here. Like, and this is like a serious, these kind of war games, these war board games from the 70s and the late 60s, they were complicated. They required thinking. Man, they were not Pop-O-Matic Trouble or Parcheesi. This shit fucking required thought, and you had to read the instructions. I remember playing games like this and getting frustrated. It's like, damn it. Oh yeah, and here we go. I'm not sure what toy manufacturer made this, but a bat boat. That looks cool. Just the art is, cool. Oh yeah, and here we go. Another great case of let's stick Star Trek packaging on anything and call it Star Trek. This is probably the worst offender of the batch of all the Star Trek products. The Astrocopter. I mean, there were no helicopters in Star Trek, and they were so lazy that, and I'm sure this was like a regular like Army soldier toy thing, that they had in Remco's lineup, but they just took their regular toy soldiers. You can see the bazooka guy and the guy with the pistol. They just took their regular toy soldiers and molded them in that orange color and called it Star Trek. Oh man, crazy. Crazy. And here's a toy I never saw or heard of before. Official Boy Scouts action figures. Never seen or heard of these things. And I was in the Scouts for a couple years when I was a kid, but so yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Steve Scout. And this one I thought was just weird. It's a scarecrow and you shoot darts at it. You're supposed to shoot the crows off of his arms, and I guess the that 50 on his chest is a bullseye of some sort. Fucking crazy ass toys. Crazy. Oh yeah, and then here's this thing. So some guy was using this box to hold posters. I didn't care about the posters. I was more interested in this vintage thermos. Some of you guys might remember these. Coolers that were like had a metal, outer coating, and and they were usually brown or green, and man, I looked around real quick and I was like, is the thermos here? And I think the thermos is the thermos coolers probably got rusted and is like no longer in service anymore, but the box is still the box is in remarkable condition for how old it has to be, and he was just using it to hold random posters. I didn't even look to see what they were. I didn't care. And speaking of great old toys, the 1976 Mattel Space 1999 Eagle in 3 3/4 scale. There's I can't remember what company it is, but there's another company that's going to be coming out with these pretty soon, like a reproduction. Then they're going to go for like 3 to 4 hundo, and they're going to have fully articulated figures with all the little accessories and everything. I mean, they're going to go all out for those that missed out on these. And these vintage ones, they're pretty brittle. I had a partial one that I picked up at a thrift store a few years back. I ended up selling it at a comic show like just a few months later. But yeah, these things they're brittle. I mean, they even broke and fell apart pretty easy when they were new. But what a magnificent toy. Look how the scale of it. And like, I suppose if I had like bugged my mom enough when I was a kid, I could have got one, but it wouldn't have survived any moves. If I still had it, it would just be like in a shambles of itself. And speaking of stuff that we watch on the show, on the stream here, Captain Power. We've been watching some Captain Power, you know, semi lately. And there's the Sauron robot lizard action figure thing. Lord Dread, the spaceship. It's the spaceship that interacts with the TV thing. And then this is their equivalent to Castle Grayskull, I guess, for Captain Power. Pretty cool. Massive toy. And speaking of another show that we watch on the channel here, occasionally, the Great Grape Ape. The game probably sucks, but you know, there we go. And the Star Wars game and the Battlestar game that I have, well, I didn't like focus on those, as I've shown that before, and I have those games. I have both those games. I've had them for many years. Occasionally, we'll get together with the kids and we'll still play the Star Wars game. The Star Wars game is actually a legit, pretty good board game. Check this one out. This caught my eye. Check out the wording at the top of the package. Honey West TV Private Eyeful. I can't remember what TV show that's from, but I thought it was pretty clever packaging. And here is G.I. Joe Adventure Team Seawolf Submarine. Pretty sure it comes with a toy version of that squid too. Pretty fucking cool shit. And here's another old G.I. Joe thing. This one had to be from the early days of G.I. Joe, but this thing is scaled big enough you could put the 12-inch figure in there. A Panther jet fighter. You know, that was like the jet that was used by the F-9 Panther was used by the Navy and Marine Corps during the 50s. Oh yeah, here we go. Nothing says fun like bootleg action figures. This is a bizarre ass Spider-Man. Oh my god, is he crazy? The bizarre Spider-Man knockoff. Probably from Mexico. That's where a lot of these kind of things come from. And here's a bizarre knockoff Batman with shiny silver gloves and boots. Hilarious. This was from a table that had just like oodles of these kind of, you know, crazy knockoffs. All right. I know some of you may be doing a double take on that C-3PO tape dispenser. Yeah, that was a thing. Once again, it fell into the category of George Lucas. As long as you could get the product out, George Lucas would freaking sign off on licensing for anything after that first movie. And I can't remember the name of the company, but this tape dispenser is infamous amongst Star Wars collectors. And you get the tape from a compromising position by 3PO. It's hilarious. It's the first time I've seen one in real life. Alright, Shogun Warriors. I love these things. These are like 2 feet tall. Now, I had the one on the right, Dragoon. I had that when I was a kid, but my mom cheaped out on me and got me the little one that was only like 5 inches tall. I was like fine. It goes with my action figures, but it wasn't as cool. You know, that one wasn't as cool as one of these big 2 feet tall ones. Oh yeah, and back to, and one of the, this I was looking for a lot of times. A lot of times, what would catch my eye is toys and other merchandise that was based on some of the shows that we watch here on the streams. Wacky Races, which I believe we had an episode earlier in the stream, is, you know, one of those shows. And the Compu Robot, he looks like a character from a Disney science fiction movie from 1979, doesn't he? Doesn't he look like Vincent from the Black Hole? I wonder if whatever company made this ran afoul of Disney at the time. But yeah, he's very Vincent-y. Oof, yeah. I'm trying to imagine how anyone thought this was cool, but there you go. There you go. Slap that on your head and go ride your bike around the neighborhood. See what happens. See what happens. Probably get your ass kicked. This is a one I took it because this is like one of those things. Is like, why was this made? Why was this made? Yeah, this had to be from the 90s, judging by the Hanna-Barbera logo on the top of the box. Looks like the Hanna-Barbera logo from 90s Cartoon Network time frame. So this has got to be, but and yeah, and it comes with a VHS tape too, which I guess is sort of cool. But yeah, I mean, I imagine that not a small amount of these were possibly given as gifts, maybe, and never opened. Man. Yeah. Why? Why was that licensed? Anyway, and there's this, the Immortals of Change battle set. Never heard of this before. It's clearly out of the 80s or maybe early 90s. It seems to launch you set up your two sides and you launch like disc projectiles at each other. Seems cool. Seems like it would blend in with other toys. Never seen that before. And something I never knew existed, Nerf table hockey. I mean, there's a lot of Nerf products out there. I mean, I've seen quite a few. But Nerf table hockey, never seen it before. Interesting. Alright. If you're wondering what the fuck you're looking at, I had to process it a bit too. This is basically a Saddam Hussein voodoo doll. You know, they're calling it the Beast of Baghdad. They didn't actually put his name on there, but this is something that came out during Desert Shield, Desert Storm. Somebody was trying to make a quick buck off of the situation and came up with these. And I don't know how many were sold. Who knows? I could have bought it. It's like that's $20. I could have got it, but yeah, I was like, nah. But yeah, this is a thing that happened. Yeah, Play School. Play School was another company that put out some great peg people play sets. You know, instead of being round pegs, they're square pegs. But once again, you know, no legs, no arms. The heads don't even turn. But they had some great play sets. I have one play set of that for my collection. It's the McDonald's one. I picked that one because that was one that I didn't own as a kid, but a lot of my friends had them, so I played with that toy a lot. So it tickles some nostalgia bug for me. And even though they're square peg people, they blend in well enough with the round peg people from Fisher-Price. And oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, Estes, the king of toy model rocketry products. They wanted to get onto the Star Wars bandwagon, and I think they tried going for Battlestar Galactica too. But early on, they tried doing things like a Y-wing fighter and a TIE fighter and I think a Cylon Raider, and making them, you know, model rockets. And of course, those vehicles were disasters because they weren't anything approaching airplane shaped. And even the X-wing, I don't think did very well in the Viper. It's just, yeah, not aerodynamic enough, you know. And so eventually they just gave up and slapped Star Wars characters on the packaging. And I think it says, yeah, it says Proton Torpedo on it. Very cool packaging though. Oh yeah, and here is our final item here of the stuff that just caught my eye. It's Maximus's helmet from Gladiator. It is $89. I didn't touch it, so I don't know for sure if it's plastic or metal. It could be plastic with a metallic coating, or it could be, if it's metal, it's a thin, cheap-ass freaking, you know, metal. But I thought about it after I left, and I was like, maybe I should have got it. I could wear that on stream. It'd be pretty cool. But I guess not. Anyway, so that was the stuff that I saw but didn't want to get. But now we're going to show the things I actually got. We're going to start out with this one. Bum bum bum. Yes, the Han Solo blaster from 1978, the original one. And it works. Let me turn the camera on. There we go. So, yeah. The sound kind of scares the cats a little bit. But yeah. It's pretty cool, pretty cool. And another pickup was the Cobra Claw. It was a pretty good deal. It had the complete vehicle, and the box, while a bit beat up, still looks cool. And I'll be honest with you, I had one of these when I was a kid, and it was probably my most played with vehicle because it was small and handy. You could there was a peg underneath that you could either attach a bomb to, and then it could fly around as like a remote control UAV type of thing, like a drone, or you could attach an action figure to it. They all had a hole in their back for those backpack things, and you could attach a figure up under there and have them fly around, Cobra Commander, or freaking whoever. And the Cobra Claw saw a lot of action in the cartoon show too. Sometimes, whether it was just in the battle scenes, and then you would see like you know, Cobra's plans are foiled, and Cobra Commander, Baroness, and Destro have to make a getaway, and they would get away on their Cobra claws. Or there was at least one occasion I remember some of the G.I. Joe guys had been captured, and they escape custody of Cobra and get away by stealing one of these Cobra claws. So yeah, this vehicle saw a lot of time, you know, screen time in the show, and because it was small and handy, it made it easy to play with. A lot easier to, you know, play with and wave around than, you know, the Rattler or the Sky Striker or the Dragonfly, things like that. And this one is pretty cool. It is a die-cast Y-wing fighter from the original, you know, Star Wars toys, and it's in really great shape, and it was pretty cheap, you know, for what it is. It was cheap. It was only $30. It was just in a plastic bag with a cardboard backing. I got it from a vendor that was actually British. These guys, they came out from England to be vendors at this show. This show is like international. It's like one of the biggest and best toy shows there is in the world. And people come from all over. There were a lot of people from Japan. There were a lot of people from the UK, including vendors. And I heard British accents a lot. So yeah, pretty good deal. Most of the things that this particular vendor had were like sealed items that were like, you know, graded and whatnot. They're super expensive or whatever, but this one was just kind of loose sitting there, and I was like, you know what, I'll grab that. I have another one. I have a few of these, you know, die-cast toys. They were good toys. This one I got at Route 68 Toys in Xenia, which is, that company is the one that sponsors the toy show. And I got this, and these, it's hard to find these in really good shape, especially the land speeder. Like almost every loose land speeder you see is got the windshield missing, or if it is there, it's like cracked and yellowed. If they're still on the packaging usually looks horrible. And even the windshield will look yellowed and stuff, you know, in the packaging. So yeah, I picked up this, and it was a very reasonable price. I was like, okay, yeah, we're getting that. And there you go, the land speeder. Back to the slideshow. And this Star Wars case was another thing. I've got a few of these already, but it doesn't hurt to get more, and it was only $20. Some guys try to rip you off and charge a lot of money for these things, but this one's a little more beat up, but it's still intact, and the trays were still in great condition. All the foot pegs on them and everything. Foot pegs, you say? Yes, see these? This is the trays, the upside down part. And it has these pegs all over there, so that, you know, each tray holds 12 figures, and there's 2 trays in the case. So you could just, you know, use it as a display too. And these are the loose 3 3/4 scale action figures that I got. I couldn't resist this poor little R2. He needed a home. And you may recognize over on the right the Sauron bad guy figure from Captain Power. He was only $5. I said, I'll scoop him up. And yeah, I know he's missing his guns. He's missing his wings. He's missing that data cable thing that comes out the back of his head. But at $5, why not? He will blend nicely into my stuff that's, you know, droids and robots and stuff. And on the left is a Fisher-Price Adventure Person cyborg woman thing that they try to, you know, after Star Wars came out, and with the popularity of science fiction in the late 70s, you know, Fisher-Price Adventure people tried to get on board that, and so they came out with some space-themed toys and play sets and vehicles, and of course they had to have action figures that you know went with that. And this translucent cyborg woman figure was one of those. I just think she looks cool and will look fine blended in with my other, sci-fi stuff. And speaking of storage, I saw this Lego tray set. Look at those deep compartments. And the first thing I thought when I saw it was not Legos. I was thinking, wow, what a great bin for putting gun parts in. That's what I'm using it for. The nice deep bins to, put, like spare grips and, all kind. I got 1911 parts in it, and I thought that's pretty cool. And you can flip it over, and it's got places that you can attach the Lego bricks to. So, it was storage and a play stand at the same time. Very ruthless and inventive Lego. Oh yeah, and we picked up some Mego action figures, some vintage here. We got Spider-Man, and we've got the Klingon. Notice the Klingon, Mego did not bother, doing a new mold for Klingon accessories. They just took the Starfleet ones and made them red. I have a feeling the phaser is gonna overpower Spidey's webbing. There he is in some natural light. And I picked up these guys too. There's a vendor that has these things. They're there every time. And I'm always picking up a few more. And this time I went with G.I. Joe. Got some collection of Cobra bad guys. I was hoping they had Firefly, but they did not. And I was like, damn it. I think Firefly is my favorite G.I. Joe figure. And I picked up this Aquaman. Yeah, it's a Mattel one. It's not Mego, but it's definitely made in the Mego vibe. Same scale. It's still in the package, but it was only $20. And as you know, have just recently seen earlier in the stream, we've been doing some Aquaman streaming. And luckily, our friend Native was able to acquire all the downloaded files, so I didn't have to bother ripping my DVD and downloading all the files off of it. There he is in natural lighting. I'm not 100% certain I'm going to take him out of the package. I might. I don't know. We'll see. He definitely has that vibe, from the cartoon show. As opposed to Jason Momoa Man. And I picked up this Cylon Centurion. This is custom packaging that the vendor had done. He's complete. He's got his rifle and everything. And he just put together some custom packaging for some figures. And it just caught my eye. I like the look of it. And I can easily pop him out and display him loose without damaging the packaging. So it can go either way. But Silent Centurions is just one of those cool, mechanical guy action figures of, sci-fi. Alright, this is something I got from my daughter, and I gave it to her today, earlier when I went over there. She loved it. Scooby-Doo Mystery Machine suitcase. Now, it's kind of light duty, but that's okay. It's got wheels on it, and it's got a nice big compartment on the inside. You see it stands up. It's got the handle thing. And I also got her some Powerpuff Girls cartoons and some magnets too. I got her Mario and Luigi. She likes that stuff, and she likes the Powerpuff Girls, and her favorite Powerpuff Girl is Bubbles, the drummer. And I got this for my son. And that's pretty cool. These are from the old EC comics from the 50s. The Comics Code pretty much shut EC Comics down in 1954. And these are reprints. Probably printed in the 80s or 90s, but yeah, in good enough condition to be, you know, very much readers. Because, you know, like one thing I can tell you, like when you get into the 50s and 40s era and before of comics, they're pretty brittle. They're not stuff you necessarily want to, you know, use as for reading, you know. And this is one I picked up for myself. I just, you know, the cover just sucked me in. Daredevil and the Man-Thing, and, you know, the little Black Widow in the corner. So it just, you know, look at the way that color pops. I love the old school art. And this is the Fisher-Price Little People set that I got. It is a ferry boat for cars. It came with a couple of cars, a little motorboat. Got this little guy on the bottom. You got the captain up top. It's got a little inner tube thing hanging off the side. Somebody pulled the name of the ship off the side. Maybe I should print out a sticker that says Crack-A-Lactica and call it the SS Crack-A-Lactica. I don't know. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's on wheels, so it rolls around. It's got ramps in the front and back, you know, for the cars to come and go. So I thought it was pretty good. And the price was really good. There it is. You see it came with a couple cars, and it could fit 4 cars. Now I've got plenty of extra cars laying around. And there's a picture of it in some natural lighting. And another thing, this blends in well with the Fisher-Price people and the Play School people, is the Weebles. And yes, I was sucked in by the 50-some-odd-year-old Weebles commercials that we play on the stream sometimes. Weebles, wow, they don't fall down. And you know, one of the commercials I have that I've shown at times is the tree house. It didn't come with quite all the parts. I was able to find the rest of the parts easily on eBay for a very reasonable price. And matter of fact, they just came in today in the mail, sitting in a package out in the rain when I got home. But you know, that's all right. They're plastic anyway, and they were inside a plastic baggie inside the box, so they're fine. It was missing one of the tree branches. The elevator thing was busted and didn't have any string, so replaced all that. Now I have a few extra things. I'll just sell those on the old Evil Bay. And if you look down underneath, see there's that door open. There's a little compartment. One of the figures it came with 3 figures. The 2 that it's supposed to come with, it's like a little boy and a little girl. But down there in that little brown open spot is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, which came from a completely different set. And the Christmas ones are kind of hard to find, so I have a feeling I might make a tidy sum selling off the spare parts and old Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer there on Evil Bay. And this is the coup de grace. This is the thing that was the best one from my gets, you know, from my haul, is Mazinga, Great Mazinga, sometimes called Mashinder. There's a few versions of this toy that, you know, have different, you know, details are different and stuff. But my friends had this when I was a kid. You know, they had this, and they had, you know, one of the other ones you saw earlier, and they had the Godzilla, which you guys have seen that one before. I got that last show. And yeah, there we go, Great Mazinga. He's got both his swords. He's only got 6 of his rockets, but the rockets are easily available on eBay. You know, there's guys who 3D print them, and I've got a bundle of 15 more rockets coming. And as a side note, this toy is great fun for the cats. They love it when I shoot the rockets at them, and then they swat at the rockets and chase them. It's, you know, pretty funny. So yeah, he is awesome. There he is in some natural light with the rocket launcher. Yeah, all 3 work. I checked it. One of the rockets I had to clean. One of the ones on his shoulder, it was filled with dirt. So it took a while to clean that out. But yeah, great toy. What a great toy. So anyway, that is what's going on with that. Oh yeah, and let me show you. I got that. I'm gonna turn the slideshow off, and I took one. I panned the camera around on my phone in one of the buildings, one of the bigger buildings. There was like, I don't know, 3 really big buildings, and then like another 3 buildings that were kind of big, and then, you know, there were a couple of small buildings. But yeah, all the buildings at the fairgrounds were being used. And yeah, so here it is. Okay, yeah. Yep, there is the blaster. Love that thing. Better look at that.
I'll go.
And I just panned. That's just one of the buildings.
I have better things to do.
So yeah, that is what we had going on. We had the Great Ohio Toy Show last weekend. Yes, hand shot first, big time. All right, so we're gonna do one cartoon and to close out the stream. And I don't know if I'm gonna stream tonight or not. Probably not. But we will have an Easter cartoon stream. I'm going to gather together a few Easter themed cartoons and add them into some of the regular stuff that we stream on a Sunday cartoon show. And we will do that tomorrow at some point. Not sure exactly when, but it will happen. And so enjoy